All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. And it seems we have sound tonight, so that's always a big plus. Today is July 14th, 2015, and we have an interesting topic Tuesday tonight that can be a very controversial subject at times, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to approach the subject, and we're hoping that we'll get a few of you that are listening tonight call in and give us your opinions and theories on this subject. So feel free to do so. I'm going to give out the phone number early, just so that everyone knows it, wants to write it down, and if you feel all advantageous during the show, call in and tell us what you think. So the call-in number is area code 347-237-5070. Again, that number is 347-237-5070. And the subject tonight, our topic Tuesday subject tonight is going to be, is Bigfoot demonic? Before we go any further, as always, I have to mention that this show is brought to you by Audible.com. Audible.com, of course, is a site that you can go to download audiobooks to listen to for your listening pleasure. And by being a listener of this show, you get an opportunity to get a free audiobook as well as a 30-day trial of the service. The way you do that is by going to audibletrial.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio. Again, it's audibletrial.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio. So if you get an opportunity, give it a check out. They got over 180,000 different books to choose from. And hey, it's a big thing now. People are listening to their books instead of buying them and reading them here nowadays. So give it a try, and I think you'll like it. How are you doing tonight, Creature Seeker?
I'm doing okay, Billy. And yourself?
I'm doing fine, mainly because the studio is working for a change and everybody can hear us. And so far, everything seems to be working good.
Well, Billy, I still have concerns when the studio working is the exception and not the norm.
Well, I'm thinking that all of our listeners did us a huge favor by sending in complaints via email. And I really think that our listeners made the difference here on this.
Well, we know that our listeners can complain. That's for sure, Billy.
Well, this was a healthy complaint. So
no, we appreciate it for everyone who did send in their feedback to Blog Talk.
It does definitely help. So, Bruce, do you have any announcements before we get on our topic tonight?
The only announcement I have, Billy, is I'm very proud to say that I probably should have announced this a lot sooner, but I totally lost track of it. But so Creature Weekend this year was able to donate $1,100 to the Guernsey County Education Assistance Grant, formerly known as Dollars for Scholars. So I would really like to thank everyone who participated in the crypto art exhibit and all those artists who donated items to the exhibit and all those people who attended Creature Weekend and really supported the event. We were able to raise that money through the crypto art auction, and in addition to a portion of our ticket sales went to that cause. So this will be the third year in a row we've donated over $1,000 to the Guernsey County Education Assistance Grant, aka, well, not AKA, formerly known as Dollars for Scholars. I was recently told that they are no longer a chapter of Dollars for Scholars, but they still do use that money for education assistance for residents of Guernsey County. So that's awesome. I'm really proud, along with the other volunteers at Creature Weekend, to do that again this year. And so it just goes to show, Billy, that you can have fun, you can have a great event, and give back to the community. And
Yeah,
everyone was a part of that.
right, exactly. And it does give you a great feeling knowing that the money is going to something that's going to help the community. Especially these younger ones who, the education is very important, and they it helps them in every way, especially in the future. So that's a great thing that you did there, Bruce. Just so glad that we do that.
Yeah, I'm very pleased, Billy. And again, everyone who participated in the event was a part of that. So, congratulations to everyone, the volunteers, the attendees, the artists who donated items, the vendors, everyone was a part of that. It's a really great thing that the event does.
All right, and the only announcement I have is a teaser announcement. And that teaser announcement is that there will be, in the coming future, a first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. And I am proud to say, everybody hold on to your seats. Everybody's been wondering kind of where we're going to be in the state of Virginia. The only thing I'm going to tell you at this point is that this conference will take place in the southwestern portion of Virginia. So we are going to nail down a place. I'm not ready to announce yet, but it will take place in southwestern Virginia. Now, the good part of that is there's not too many Bigfoot conferences that take place in the South. So this will help pull some of the folks from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, maybe even Florida, and grab some of those folks over in neighboring Kentucky, Tennessee. So I'm looking forward to it. And I have to say that the venue we have chosen, when I went down, me and Janine went down and had a meeting with the folks, and they are ecstatic. They said that they have never done anything like this. They're extremely proud that we have chosen their location to house this event. So they're very excited about it. So they're excited. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great time. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure if you're on Facebook, that you can go to the search bar and just type Virginia Bigfoot Conference. And make sure you like the page, and any updates about that event will take place there. Or you can go to VA Bigfoot Conference. Of course, VA stands for Virginia. VABigfootConference.com. And that's the website if you don't have Facebook. And we will give everyone updates as they become available. The likelihoods is that event will not occur in 2015. We are planning this thing out, so it will take place in the year 2016. So don't get too excited. So, but it will happen in 2016 for sure, and I think everybody's looking forward to it. So, there we have that.
That's awesome news, Billy. I know we've really been waiting a long time to get that moving, and so I can't wait. I can't wait for 2016. I think that's gonna be a great event.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's in a beautiful. They got a beautiful conference center, so it's going to be nice. And I will add that there are some sightings on the BFRO database that comes from this park where this conference center is. So within walking distance, we're within Bigfoot sighting areas. So that's another big plus.
Well, Billy, all right, so here's the question. How many steakhouses are near that vicinity where the conference is going to be held?
Well, the property itself, the park itself, has a restaurant that has, a selection of steak. Not, it's kind of like Salt Fork. They have a couple steaks, but you're within 10 minutes of a fairly good sized town that has many hotels, many restaurants. So I'm sure we're not going to have a problem finding you some steak, Bruce.
Well, all right, Billy. That's the most important criteria.
And another tidbit is I will tell you that it is along the tail of the dragon's tail, and anyone who rides motorcycles knows what I'm talking about. So this kind of gives you an idea, a little bit of a general idea of what part of southwestern Virginia.
When you say it's along the dragon's tail, Billy, does that mean that in order to get there, you have to ride the dragon's tail?
Only a portion of it. Just a small portion.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not that bad. Don't worry. You're not going to crash your car or anything like that. That's not the bad part of the dragon's tail. I'll put it that way.
All right. Awesome.
So anyway, let's get to our subject because I'm sure people want to talk about the subject, not listen to us ramble on. It is an interesting subject tonight. It's a controversial subject with some folks. But this whole, we've heard this brought up before, is Bigfoot demonic? I know of some researchers and investigators who have left the field of research because as far as they were concerned, they thought they had enough evidence to prove to themselves that Bigfoot is demonic. I've heard of some who have quit due to even the possible association with demonic influence. So basically the subject we want to talk about is, do you all think they're on to something? Is it really what they think? Has anyone, can we discuss some of the history? Are there any other resources that point to Bigfoot as being something other than flesh and blood? These are all great things. And this is your opportunity tonight to call in, give us your theories or your thoughts on the matter. And I gave out the phone number. I'll give it out one more time, 347-237-5070. Press the 1 key, and it will throw up a little flag so that I know that you want to be brought on the show. Just don't forget to press the 1 key once you're connected. So, Bruce, do you have any thoughts on this as we get started?
Well, Billy, so I think it's worth it to talk about why people think that Bigfoot are demonic, and some of the evidence that people have brought forth, if you want to call it evidence, is that apparently there have been instances when these creatures have left tracks. People have followed those tracks, and then tracks just dead-ended. They disappear. There have been, I know one researcher who said that she had a discussion with the Lord about Bigfoot, what it was, and even though she didn't say that she was told that Bigfoot was demonic, she was told that Bigfoot is dangerous, that she should just leave it be. That's just an anecdotal story that I'm going to pass on to you. Also, there are other people who I know personally who have a strong faith, and this comes into sort of, why our backgrounds sort of lead us to certain conclusions. So, this person is really, really strong in their conviction that Bigfoot is demonic, or to be more accurate, some Bigfoot are demonic, others are flesh and blood. I don't know how that works, to be quite honest with you, Billy, but maybe that person will call in and enlighten us on that. Also, there have been reports of Bigfoot having glowing red eyes that glow even when you don't shine a light on them. They just glow red. And so people think that because they have glowing red eyes that they could be demonic. So that's another, reason that people point out. What have you heard, Billy?
Well, I've done some reading on the subject, and there are so many different theories out there about this subject. I recently read. Well, let me read you this excerpt out of a. This is out of a site called ChristianParanormalAnswers.com, and the reason I checked it out is because someone had brought up a question back a few years ago. It says, "What does Bigfoot, the Bible, Hebrew history, DNA, and a powerful curse all have in common?" Of course, I come up with Bigfoot, and here's it. They raise some interesting questions in here, and here's the paragraph I was reading. It says, talking about Bigfoot, it says, if it's a spiritual entity, is it demonic? Was it created using advanced genetic tampering? If we actually found and captured one of these creatures, would it damage the Christian faith by being the missing link? Could it be a remnant from the biblical Nephilim? And I've heard that also. Are they shape-shifting, skin-walking sorcerers or shamans practicing their dark arts? Is it a werbeast animal? Why is it fraught with out-and-out lies and disinformation campaigns and the all-too-popular society tag of "you are a wackadoo"? Men fear to tell of their tales and encounters because of society's pressure to have it scientifically proven before we can believe it. It says, all you hunters and fishermen out there must be growing your own patch of wacky tobacco out in them there woods. True experiencers have dealt with ridicule and shame, not to mention the entrapping fear the creatures produced. Why this great fear? So just in that paragraph alone, there are several theories that I've heard over the years. For example, we have the DNA project being done by Melba Ketchum. Now, if everyone remembers, they're claiming that this DNA has an unknown part to it. Okay, and one of the theories behind this unknown part is angelic DNA. Okay, now, anyone who's read the Bible and done some studies of the Bible know that back in way back, some of the demons were supposedly in the war in heaven, were thrown down to earth. Of course, those demons had sex with women. Women had babies, which of course became Nephilim, which were the giants. And some people believe that Bigfoot could be Nephilim. So, it all sounds good, but I can't say that I can jump on that bandwagon and say that's for sure a fact. And the reason and we've talked about this before, Bruce, when you and I have been together, that the main reason I have a problem with that theory of Nephilim is, as we all know, these Nephilim existed prior to the flood of the Bible. So Nephilim were not they weren't angels. They were earthbound. So Nephilim would have been killed in the flood of the Bible. So that's the main reason I've always had a problem with the Nephilim theory. What's your thoughts?
Well, Billy, what about wasn't there an episode with Cain and Abel? You're probably more familiar with that story than I am. But so when Cain killed his brother, he was banished, and he became I don't know, how does the Bible describe it, Billy? He became basically a beast, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
The children,
right.
They're basically, they turned feral. So, there is also a theory that Bigfoot, one of Cain's progeny.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and again, it's, we're talking about so many different theories. I saw someone mention earlier in the chat room about the Native Americans and, shamanism. And that was one of the things that was also mentioned in this paragraph. Some Native American tribes do believe that Bigfoot is a spiritual being, not a physical being, and they believe that they're like a protector, and sometimes they give us messages. When you have a sighting or whatever, it means that they're giving you a message that either something's getting ready to happen, or a message. They're a protector of the forest. So there's so many different, and sometimes you can feel like, wow, this is really out there, because we're all trying to say this is a flesh and blood animal, So some of these, it's a good subject to talk about. It really is.
Well, he's a messenger, all right, Billy. I think the message is it's time to GTFO, right? So I've heard it also said that even though the Bigfoot is a protector of the woods, I've heard it said that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood embodiment of that spirit. So I've heard all different types of theories regarding Bigfoot. That it is a spirit. Other Native American tribes actually talk about it as a flesh and blood creature that embodies that spirit.
Right. And actually, Bruce, before I lose it again, we do have a caller. Let me see if I can get them in here. Oh, bear with me just a second. All right, caller from the 419 area code. You're on the air.
Hey guys.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Who are you speaking with here?
Elisa.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Elisa.
Hey.
Also known as the mayor of Preacher Weekend.
Okay, yes. What you said.
Now, Elisa actually started her own Bigfoot group called Ohio. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a website too. Do you want to tell us what that website is?
Yeah, I'll post it on the chat when I get to, so they can go and check it out. Yeah, I think Bigfoot could be a shapeshifter too, because people see him and sometimes you don't see him. I don't think.
Well,
I don't know.
That's actually a good point, Lisa. There are many eyewitnesses that claim, for example, that they follow footprints in the snow, for example, and then they just disappear. That's out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like comes out of nowhere and starts from nowhere and it ends out of nowhere and just could be something else than just that.
Right. Yep. So that is another theory that goes around out there.
Elisa, what do you think? What do you think? Is Bigfoot, is it demonic? Is it a demon? Should we leave it alone?
I think he's a demon. I think he just gets scared when he sees people and he wants to either hide or he wants to fight. He probably gets scared sometimes and just wants to defend his home. I don't think he could be demonic. He's just scared probably. Because he didn't know humans and he gets scared.
So you think Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature like us?
Yeah, at least I think he's an undiscovered species that we haven't got to study yet.
I think you and Dr. Meldrum would probably be on the same page there.
I think, he could be like a caveman that just survived the Ice Age. I don't know.
Well,
it's hard to say what he is.
Well, along those lines, Alicia, they have, the DNA research they have done, they do say that, mixed in with the human DNA is some sort of unknown primate. So
yeah,
you could be right about that.
Because I always see that. It's like my mom said he could be a Neanderthal that survived, or he could be a new species.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I don't think he's demonic, but there's not enough to know about him. Wait, really.
So what would you give as what kind of advice would you give to people who were looking for a Bigfoot? How should they approach this? Should they look for Bigfoot the way we've been looking for them, or should we change our tactics?
I think we should try to change it, because most time we go out there with loud stuff, and we should just go out there being quiet and peaceful, and he might come up and check us out if we just be quiet and not scare him.
Mm-hmm.
Respect his home. Because a lot of time we go out there and we'll take the trees down and all of that, and he probably gets upset and gets really mad, and he just wants to fight. And if we go out there and respect his home, he might actually show up and respect, I think.
What do you think, Billy?
Well, we've always enjoyed going out there too, Bruce, and just, and sit and be really quiet. We have had some success with crazy stuff like sound blasting and stuff, but at the same time, we've had just as much success just going out there and being quiet. So, it's, Bruce, you know me, I've always been a big flesh and blood believer. As far as this whole subject's concerned, I have a hard time leaping into the direction of some type of a spiritual entity or demonic type influence. But hey, I've been proven wrong before.
Billy, that's not what you said before. I think before you were totally into the spirit of the interdimensional Bigfoot thing.
No. No, my name's Billy, not Fred. Well, Alyssa, thanks for calling in and giving us your opinions. We really appreciate it.
You guys are welcome.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right, folks. Just a reminder, the number's 347-237-5070. Don't forget to press the 1 key. The 1 key on your phone, and that way it lets us know that you want to speak with us. There was a couple points brought up, Bruce, about something you had mentioned before, talking about Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel was before the flood.
Yes. So, if you believe that the flood killed all the Nephilim, but maybe it didn't.
Well, how did they survive? Were they floating around on logs?
Well, there was a flood, as the Bible describes it, but do we know that the flood affected every single square inch of the earth?
Well, I guess that depends on whether we believe that God accomplished what he set out to do, and that was to destroy all living things on the planet other than those that were saved in the ark.
Who can say, Billy? Maybe that wasn't his plan. Maybe his plan was just to destroy all evil things. I don't know.
Well, it's left up for debate.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, folks, don't be afraid to call in. There's no right and wrong answers here. These are all theories. We're just having a discussion about it. So don't be afraid to call in and tell us what your thoughts are on the whole matter. I know that I've heard certain folks say that they believe that one of the ways we could actually, well, not actually, but possibly track these things is with the use of thermal imagers. I've heard theories that I've actually discussed with another individual, and he truly thinks that Bigfoot could be a spiritual entity that draws power from man-made power sources such as high tension power lines. And he believes that these creatures may spend time around these power line cuts where people, claim to find, footprint evidence and have sightings along, these easements. He believes these things are spending time around energy sources made by humans to gain energy, because he claims that they need the energy. And he believes that you could take a thermal imager, maybe go into a power line cut, maybe aim it, up at the top of the towers, and possibly see some human-like figures, hanging around the power lines. Does it sound crazy? Is it possible? It almost sounds like something out of Predator, when you think about it. So, an interesting theory, but nonetheless, hey, if someone believes in a theory, obviously the only thing you can do is test the theory. So, I did tell this individual that I'm willing to go out into some power line cuts with him late at night, and we'll test that theory. We'll start using the thermal imager to scan the high tension power lines and the areas, and hey, if we see human-like shapes hanging up there or something, I guess it's time to go. But again, it's nothing wrong with testing a theory. But it's another interesting theory that I've heard about the subject. Let's see. I think Bruce has left to go and pull a guest in, so we'll wait until he comes back and see who it is that he's getting ready to bring on. Let's see. I saw something here. I see Ramble 1 is putting up some information about the battles between the demons and the victims' souls are often epic and terrible to witness or even read of. Just one of the examples. Wow, this thing's moving fast. One of the examples document below that of the Saint Gemma Galgani, who died in 1903. Where are you getting this at, Ramble? Okay, it's at www.mysticsofthechurch, and I think it got cut off. It didn't. So, Ramble, if you want to put that, just the website link back up in the chat room, because it cut it off. It cut some of that off. You can definitely check that out. Okay, you back, Bruce?
I'm back, Billy.
Okay. Do you got the caller with you, or are they going to call in?
They're going to call in. So, Billy, we also had a guest on the show once, Frank Bennett. He wrote a book, Encounters with the Aberdeen Wildman. And in this book, he talks all about the idea that, Bigfoot are not flesh and blood. They are demons. And I was hoping he could call in, but I don't think he's around. Honestly. But I think, he's talked about his theories before. And they're really interesting. And in his book, he talks a lot about how he thinks, and these Bigfoot are grouped in with ghosts and all these other strange paranormal things that we encounter. How they're all linked to demons. So it's not a theory that is just sort of no one's talked about. It's a theory that people have brought up again and again and again. The problem I have with the whole demon theory is that there isn't enough evidence to suggest that they are demonic. Any evidence you have is fairly circumstantial. The glowing red eyes, the footprint that seemed to just stop abruptly and disappear. I just feel like there isn't enough compelling evidence to.
Well, yeah. I mean, I agree. Everything is very broad as far as, yeah, everybody, some describe the red eyes and stuff. And you start putting all that stuff together and it sounds like, demonic. Demons are talked about as having red eyes and that kind of thing. So yeah, I know, I completely understand that. We do have a caller at area code 724.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Billy. It's Greg Kachua, Mr. Whippoorwill False Alarm. How's everything going?
Good. How about you?
Oh, I'm okay. Anyhow, let's see. This is a rare occasion where I agree with Bruce. I just don't think we got enough evidence. I mean, I don't rule anything out, put it that way, but I don't think there's enough evidence to go with the demonic aspect of it. I would put that way down on the scale. The reason why is, I mean, where is the damage that Bigfoot is doing to anybody? They just seem to wander around. Even when people claim to shoot at them, they like calmly walk away. They throw rocks that never seem to hit anybody. They never seem to do any physical damage to anybody. And I would think that's what demons are about, And the second thing I wanted to say was that as far as the power lines and energy sources, there may be something to that, but my question would be, they've also been seen around pipelines. Where's the electrical source for the power for the pipelines? And also, what were they using for electrical power sources before electricity was harnessed? And why did they give up that power source for, corporate produced electricity? So, I think that they're seen along power lines and pipelines because that's a path of least resistance. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think it's also a good place for feeding, for deer and stuff like that as well. Because the deer like to get in those areas because there's usually some nice green grass growing along those easements.
And berries tend to grow along the edge of woods. You don't find berries growing like in the forest. They're like on the edge of clearings and stuff, So usually that's a good place for berries to grow. So, I wouldn't say they're not using electrical fields for energy, but, like I said, what were they using before we had widespread, electricity everywhere? For example, what was Bigfoot using for electricity in, say, 1492?
Right.
Yeah. Well,
good points, Greg.
What's that?
Those are good points you bring up.
Well, I'm right every once in a while.
Greg came to the camp. He made some excellent haluski. So,
well, I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. And let me guess where the Virginia Bigfoot conference is going to be held. My guess is Withville. If it's not Withville, I'll say Galax. Am I close?
I'll say you're in the vicinity, but you're in the vicinity. You're close. You're in the vicinity.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I plan to attend, so I hope to be there and see you guys there.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'll guess I'll hang up now and let everybody else have some time here. And so good to talk to you guys, and look forward to seeing you again.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
All right. Good night.
Bruce, was that a goat?
What cities did you just say? Withville and where?
Withville and Galax.
All right. Are those cities are those U.S. cities?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
But no, Withville's probably, I ain't gonna say it's a big town, but it's probably one of the larger towns near. He's. I'll put it to you this way: he's within 30 minutes of the site. Naming
when
them
you say
cities.
larger towns, Billy, what are we talking here? Population 700 people?
No, a little more than that.
800?
No, I mean, it's here's how I like to gauge a city. If it's got some of the main fast food chains like Burger King and McDonald's, it's in civilization. It's even got a Sonic, so they're doing pretty good.
Well, Billy, do these places even have power line easements?
Yes, they do.
All right. Well, they sound very remote. That's why I asked.
Oh man! All right, we got another caller. Caller from the 330 area code. You're on the air.
Hello, Bruce and
Hey.
Billy. How are you guys doing?
Hey,
That
Sam,
sounds
how
like
you doing?
Tim.
Yes. I'd weigh in here. We talked before about the encounter with the Aberdeen Wildman story and that, and Frank Bennett there was at the Weekend Headed Table. Pretty interesting book in that. I thought I'd talk a little bit about my experience or my family's experience. So everybody's pretty familiar with my granddaughter's sighting of a Bigfoot. This was during the day, and while she was on the back of a four-wheeler, and it's kind of unusual. She gave that whole story there on their Creature Weekend, did a good job on that. But it was interesting. This creature could keep up with the four-wheeler, no problem, no matter. And I know this is my ex-son-in-law, but he can drive pretty fast. So that had to be quite a creature. But a cheetah would do the same thing, right?
Do you know the story well enough to sort of refresh our memory on that? Could you retell that story just for the people who aren't familiar with it?
Briefly, she and her father, they were camping in this Camp Ohio. This would be in Ohio, but it'd be probably south of Cambridge area there. She was behind a four-wheeler. This is probably about 9 years old, riding behind. And they were on a trail going alongside a ridge. And she saw this creature up there, but it was light hair, kind of more whitish than brown. And she told her dad, look at that. What's the, she didn't know, she had no idea what a Bigfoot was, anything like that. She said it looked like the Easter bunny when Grandma and Grandpa take her to the mall, like in a big fur costume. And he just said, he just kind of denied it, you're not seeing anything. And he just kept speeding up. But this thing was paralleled them higher up on the ridge and just followed them for quite a distance in that. So it was years later, she told people, I saw the Easter bunny out there. But then later on, when she saw a show on the Bigfoot, she said, that's what it was. So ever since then, she's, been kind of a fan of Bigfoot and come to the Creature Weekends, and I've been interested in it. That was her experience, and, her grandma's kind of, enthusiastic. Now, my experience has been, I was with the charismatic movement for over 20 years, 25 years and that, and I had to deal with spirits at different times, and thankfully they did not appear that often and all that, but basically when a demon would appear, demons were to put fear in people and scare them. That's generally when you could tell it's a demon instead of an angel. And I did have an experience where a demon did appear to me inside a building, and it looked like a Bigfoot, and it was about 9 foot tall, and I guess about 900 pounds, very large and all that. But I knew what it was at that time, and but I'm not saying that all Bigfoots are demons and all demons are Bigfoots, because a demon will appear person in some form that would scare them. You know, that's really their tactic, to put fear into them. And so that's what I had to say about that.
So if someone appears to me, you know, in the uniform of a vegetable produce section worker,
right, it could be very scary to some people, right?
All right, because I don't like vegetables at all. So Tim, so why do you think some Bigfoot are demonic? I mean, so you said that a demon appeared to you. It was in a building. All right, what kind of building was it? Was it a mall?
Well, no, not really. No.
Well, no. So what kind of building was it?
I really don't want to specify there. I'll just say I was the only one in the building. Okay.
Oh,
I'll
so
go
was it
that far. A little bigger.
Okay. So you think Bigfoot are demonic because one appeared to you, and why do you think not all Bigfoot are demonic?
Well, I didn't say that. I now, you know, I told you my granddaughter saw this one. As far as I know, that was physical. I don't know. I wasn't there. You just have to go by what she's saying on it, you know.
Okay.
But there was another story. A fellow I met that was like a missionary to South America. He dealt with a lot of tribes people there that were into witchcraft and that. And he had one follow him. He was going to a village and following a river. He was on one side of the river. This thing was on the other side of the river, these glowing red eyes. And he said, you know, he discerned that was a demon in that.
Wait a minute.
And did not want him to travel to this village that he was going to do.
Tim, what followed him? Was it a Bigfoot or was it a witch doctor?
No, the missionary. Well, this fellow would be like an evangelist, and then what he saw, this was what he describes a Bigfoot with the, the hair and all that. So, but
so why are only some Bigfoot demonic, Tim, in your opinion?
Why are some? I would say because people would be afraid. It would bring fear into them. You know, that what they're trying to stop them from doing something or from accomplishing some task, whatever it be. It could appear as a Bigfoot, could appear as a dog man or these gargoyles, and he had Johnson on there describing dozens of different entities in that. So it could come, as far as demons go, they can come in any form. But that's just the nature of how that works.
Okay, well, so basically we don't really know, is what you're saying. Some Bigfoot are flesh and blood. Some are demonic because demons try to scare you, and they use the appearance of Bigfoot to do that.
Right.
Okay.
Now, Bruce and Tim, have you all ever heard this? This I've heard from, churches in general, where they believe that Bigfoot, whether it's flesh or blood, whether it's spiritual, demonic, whatever, I ain't gonna say most, I'm gonna say some churches view Bigfoot, or anything other than Bigfoot. Let's even say Loch Ness Monster. Let's say Chupacabra, whatever. Some churches believe that anything that steers you away from your purpose, which is to serve God, is demonic. So that's kind of a general view of a lot of churches is, Bigfoot is something that keeps you from serving God. Anything that takes your time away from serving God would be considered a demonic influence.
Well, it's very interesting you said that, because I've known some people that have skipped going to church and went out Bigfooting, instead. And, that's an important thing there. I think you've got a good point there, and I could see where those people are coming from.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that many times. That's the reason I mentioned it. I figured everyone had probably heard that.
But it's like anything could get out of balance in there. We're just watching the news there. These kids are getting into gaming, and some of them, they get addicted. They're gaming 12, 14 hours a day. It overtakes their whole life. So I think get out of balance, it could be anything. So if you're saying the devil's working through Nintendo, those probably some of them churches would say that, But,
yeah, it's true.
I don't know, Tim. I don't. It's hard for me to imagine that playing a couple hours of Grand Theft Auto is Satan's working through me on that.
I don't know. Grand Theft Auto alone, just the game itself, Bruce, may not be very good.
Oh boy.
Well, that's an interesting theory you have. I guess I still am not convinced that any Bigfoot are demonic.
Oh, no, I'm
basically
saying a demon, whatever the previous colors talking about shapeshifters and all that. It just could be something. This demon's going to appear as anything. I'm not saying particularly Bigfoot. Could be Bigfoot one day and Dogman the next day and the gargoyle the next day, whatever.
Or ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. It could be an IRS agent or something. That would be pretty scary for me.
All right, now you're getting into an area that is more believable.
Yeah, I'm more scared of IRS agents than I am of demons. I'll put it that way.
As well, you should be.
Oh man!
All
right. Well, I'm enjoying the show here, and I'll get off here.
Wait, Tim, before you go. Before you go. So does this mean you are no longer looking for Bigfoot? You're no longer interested in the subject. You're just gonna say, look, and because other researchers have done this, you're just gonna say, okay, Bigfoot's demonic, and I don't mess with that. I'm done. Is that where you're coming from?
No. I mean, I read about it. I'm too old to be out in the woods, like some of you young people are to do a lot of field work in that. But I enjoy reading about it, or TV shows and that. Interested in that. It could be just like they found that giant chimpanzee last year or something. Maybe this year they'll capture one of these Bigfoots. Who knows? I'm always open to that. There's always new discoveries, and and mammals and reptiles, and that they're being discovered constantly. And I think anybody that's scientifically minded or curious, they're going to keep open mind on that. So
do you think we're close to cracking this mystery, or do you think it's going to be another 40 years before we get any real evidence?
Boy, that's a real good question. There's just a lot of things that have been revealed here in the last couple of years. So, yeah, we could be close. Absolutely.
So if you do think that some of these Bigfoot are demonic,
yeah, I'm not afraid.
Is it your opinion that the other people, the other researchers, should just leave them be?
Yeah, if you're not someone that knows how to handle that or been trained in that area to deal with the demonic, yeah, don't mess with that.
Well, Tim, where do you get training for that? I mean, where you take some continuing ed courses or something? And Bigfoot demonism? I mean, how do you get trained for that?
You need a really good Bible teacher, someone that knows how to operate in all the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And so, if someone wants to learn that, there are places to go for that. Yeah.
You know that? Can you name some places? Do you know of any? I'll sign up for a weekend course.
Would you?
Yeah.
Well, let me think about that.
Well, all right. I was just curious.
All right. Thanks, Tim. We appreciate you calling in.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Bye. You too. All right. And we got another caller from area code 360. You're on the air.
Hey guys, it's Old School Nate. How you doing?
Old School Nate.
Hey.
How you doing?
Not bad. I'm back out in Washington State. This is the second time I've lived on the Olympic Peninsula.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Prime squatching territory out there.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a little too prime.
Have you had any activity out there?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. So, it's really interesting. You guys have been chasing this theme for a couple weeks now, and my schedule doesn't always allow me to be on the show. So I took a hiatus from a lot of things for about a year and a half. During the move and working 2 different jobs and whatnot. But I have off today, and I thought, I gotta reconnect and see what these 2 guys are up to, and make sure that Bruce is behaving himself and not alienating the greater civilization. So here we all are. But, you're using the word demon from a Judeo-Christian definition, which is fine. But a lot of other cultures, their idea of a demon is like a trickster, like someone who's going to, prank you to the purpose of getting you to understand a deeper lesson. And most of the times, it's a lesson you shouldn't have been having to learn in the first place. So it's got that negative to it. Mm-hmm. But I thought about this. I thought, how would I even answer this now that I'm on this side of things? And I would say, well, we want answers. So if you have not had an experience, you want answers. Real crappy thing is, once you have an experience, or a couple dozen, or more than you wanted, you have more questions than you ever had before. Each little thing is a wormhole to countless questions. And, so in a way of, the demon messing with you, that's what happens. So for the people that want, what's the word? Evidence is the word everyone likes to throw around. the only evidence that is going to satisfy anyone, if we're being honest with ourselves, the only evidence that's going to satisfy is if you have it directly, whether it's material you can hold with your hands or it's something you see and engage with your five senses. Literally, you got to be there to get the kind of evidence you want. But for the people that get that, they have more questions. So what's the whole point? Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm getting?
Yeah, I see what you're getting. But Nate, what you're describing is not just doesn't relate to the field of Bigfooting, but it relates to everything in life, right? So,
I guess there's a lot of mysteries people can explore that are broader than we're going to get to understand. It's like, pulling on a thread and the whole quilt's going to unravel at some point. The more you pull, it's attached to more and more and more. If this phenomenon were to be brought out into the light of day in a rational, logical, Western science-based way, immediately the entire scientific community would be forced to accept the queries of UFOs and cryptozoology, and what about people who have near-death experiences and psychic powers. And, all kinds of doors are going to be thrown open. And then you would have Senate hearings and this and this and this because, well, we take this seriously now, and forever we didn't. And now we have to take this seriously because it could be there. And we need funding for this. And so for that fact alone, part of a thread and a blanket that nobody knows what's sleeping under there. And you don't want to. You don't want, you trust me, you're better off not having an experience. Going out in the woods, throwing down your ribeye with your 6 pats of butter and your beautiful cast iron skillet with your 12-person tent and your inflatable mattress and your TV and your DVD, your movies, and utter luxury. And laughing with your friends and talking about, boy, remember this time we did this, and remember when we did this, and this is my theory, and this is my theory. Open sky, stars, and the beauty of life and being grateful. Leave that just as it is. Why would you want to trade that in for saying, I don't really want to go in the woods today, and I definitely don't want to go alone, when you've had thousands of experiences of being in the woods and hiking for days away from civilization? Why would you want that to change? So I'll answer your question as Bigfoot a demon in a tongue-in-cheek way. I don't think like a literal Judeo-Christian or religion-based way, but in terms of something that is there's a mischief there. There's you should know better. Are you guys still there?
I'm here, but
Yep.
So I think what you're saying is very profound, Nate. I think that you're basically saying, look, why do we do this to ourselves? Why can't we just enjoy, what we know to be? But I think it's only human nature to want to know more, and the more you learn about what you don't know, right? So, have you ever practiced martial arts?
Well, you know that I used to teach.
Okay, so I don't know what style you practice, but when you first started, was your understanding was one way, but by the time you were teaching other students, your understanding about that martial art was very different. Am I not right about that?
True.
So it's the same with Bigfooting. It's the same with take any.
Oh no! As both a former sensei and someone who's had experiences, trust me on both ends. You're just dead wrong. You're dead wrong. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Well,
There's no other experience that's going to have such a major paradigm shift in your world than something like this. You know, you can become a father. You can experience a parent dying. There's all kinds of things you can do that you'll never come back from. You'll always be different after that. And it's, you know, good or bad or mixed bag. But this thing is profoundly, profoundly different in that, you know, what do you believe about where we came from? What major stuff? But even just going out in the woods alone, it's different. Just trust me. You know, and that lady that you interviewed who was the Native American lady, when she said, I don't want to look at these things, and you kept saying, oh, well, how do you know it was there? And she was laughing and you were laughing, you were kind of poking fun at her and saying, well, you didn't really see it, Seth. You should have listened to what she was saying at the most honest level. She sees the crossroad and what's her life going to be like afterwards. And she's wise enough, and she's been told enough by her elders and the people that she takes stock in. Maybe that's not a good idea. And she chooses to heed that advice. And so she has a lot of control still in the things that she wants to have control over. Now, if you don't want to maintain any kind of control, if you want to marry chaos and throw your outdoor fun to the wind, by all means, you know, have your experience. But, you know, you guys as hosts, you're intelligently looking for themes, and ask yourselves, why did you think about this theme? And why has it been on your radar for a couple of weeks?
Or do you think it's some sort of synchronicity?
Well, I think you guys asked a very good question. And I think it's going to ruminate for a long time. Sometimes, you know, you talk about martial arts. There's more learning in the questions than there are in the answers, because the answers will change. You know, you throw a punch, and a punch is just a punch, and, you know, 6 years later, there's more happening in a punch. It's not just a punch. Another 16 years, it's just a punch again. Another 16 years, well, there's more again. So, which was false, which was true? It's the question that's efficacious, that is, you know, powerful. So I think you guys have a good show, and I've always enjoyed listening to the show, even when I don't just, you know, agree with things. But it's been really wonderful because I was listening to it before I had my experiences and then after, so I can see both sides. But I think you ask some good questions, and I think regardless if people have had experiences or not, I think this question tonight is just kind of more of a general, was this good for you or was this not good for you? Did it serve you, or did this experience not serve you? And what would you do with this information? How would you tell your friends about it? And so my little opinion is stay away. Don't go there. And don't take for granted what you are taking for granted. That's all.
Well, we appreciate it.
And I love your show, so keep doing it.
Como arigato gozaimasu, old school Nate. Thanks for calling in.
You're very welcome. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Well, we asked for an interesting conversation tonight, and I think we got them.
Very interesting, Billy. We've heard perspectives from different people, and you know, it's very eye-opening, and I think it is a question that people will still be having controversy over several years from now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I agree. But you know, it was very enjoyable, and we appreciate everyone. I mean, we had a lot of great callers tonight, and I thank each and every one of you guys for calling in. That's exactly what we want on these Topic Tuesday shows. And please, folks, don't be afraid to give us comments or complaints. We have to hear them so that we know, the direction to take and everything. So, we did have, I will let everyone know this, that we did have a comment. I don't remember if I sent it to you, Bruce. Did I send you that? I think I did, actually.
I'm afraid you did, Billy.
Yeah. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and mention it just for the simple reason that I want to know everyone's opinion. And this will give you all an opportunity to let us know if you think this comment is true or if you think this comment is false. We just want to know, because we do get a few comments like this, but this one was a little different, and I'm just going to read it. Comment was, I just cannot listen to you guys, and I'm not trying to be rude because I like to listen to all Bigfoot shows. But you two need to have someone review your show to see why it seems like a barroom pool table card game that just doesn't end. Maybe have the guest come on first thing. So that was a very recent comment that we got. So my question is, do you all feel the same? Please, if you're on our Facebook page, if you go to Sasquatch Watch Radio on Facebook, give us a comment. Tell us what you think about the show. Go to our website, SasquatchWatchRadio.com. Leave us a comment. We just need to know where we stand with all our listeners. And, whether it's good or it's bad, just let us know, just so that we know. Because we want to make sure that, that the majority of our listeners are enjoying the program. So, you got anything else, Bruce, before we end the show? We went over again.
You did. It was a very interesting topic, Billy. And it really makes me appreciate even more not only the listeners out there, but the ones who do call in and take the time to voice their opinion. We really do appreciate that.
Yep. And we appreciate all you guys in the chat room, too. We had quite a few people in the chat talking it up tonight and saw some very interesting comments in there. So we do appreciate all you guys coming into the chat room and listening in with us. So we do appreciate it. Let's see.
The guy who made that comment, I'm assuming it's a guy who made the comment, Billy.
I assume it is. I mean, I never know. On Facebook, you never know anymore if they're using their real name or not. So,
well, I will make the offer to this individual. My offer is that since he was not happy with the show, I will happily refund him all the money he paid to listen to our free show.
Oh my gosh.
Well, look, neither you or I have any formal training in talk radio. It was just something fun that we decided to do in addition to our regular life, our jobs and our families. So sometimes, I admit, we don't hit a home run on the show, but we really do try to keep it interesting for folks, and we try things here and there. Some of those things don't work, some of them do, and people's comments help us shape the show. So by all means, good or bad, keep the comments rolling in.
Yep, exactly. And it is difficult. I don't know about you, Bruce, but it is difficult sometimes for me to be home in time to even do the show. So it trust me, folks, it is a labor of love sometimes to get here and be ready to do these shows. Because I'm sure there's so much other things Bruce and I could find to do.
Absolutely.
But we do appreciate everyone, and if you don't have anything else, Bruce, I think I'm done for tonight, and I'm headed up to bed because I've got an early rise in the morning. I've got to head to the capital of Virginia in the morning.
Sounds like fun, Billy.
Yeah, it's going to be a thrill. All right, so everyone, please tune in next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will try to find us a guest and get them up sometime this weekend to advertise. So we will let you know this weekend who will get on for a guest. So until next Tuesday night, we hope everyone has a great rest of the week and a wonderful weekend. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Sasquatch Watch Radio. We appreciate every one of our listeners. We hope you enjoyed our program. Don't forget to tune in again next week for another fun and informative program.